once, my ass.
I'm only 4. Bonjour, Monsieur Pussycat.
Cracking toast, Robert.
Start spreading the news.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to a short podcast about short films. I'm your host, and we are discussing the 96th Academy Award nominations. Just doing a fun little special episode, just because, I had some friends here, and we thought we might as well go over the short film nominees this year. So for the first time, I actually have two guests on this podcast. First, we have someone who's watched the entire short list, outside of the movie I'm Hip, which we could not find. We have Ronaldo. Say hi, Ronaldo.
Hi.
And then we also have someone who has not watched a single nominee this year. It is Miss Zita Short.
Hi, thanks for having me on, even though I am woefully unprepared.
It is totally fine. That's going to be the fun of this podcast, where Ronaldo and I try to explain to you why, let's say, The After is a terrible nominee, but Night of Fortune is a good one. And but before we get into that, like we do in the regular show, we want to throw a bone to the larger nominees at hand, and so we could do like best animated feature or something, but no, we'll go bigger. For once, we'll talk about the best picture lineup, and I want both of you in just one word, tell me what you think of each of the nominees. So I'll go one by one, and then both of you just say one word about like what you think of the movie, what you think of it being nominated, whatever. Just one word though. All right. So first we have American Fiction, starting with Ronaldo.
Disappointing.
Eh,
Okay, great word. Anatomy of a Fall.
Um, Good.
adequate.
Barbie.
Fun.
Shiny.
Great. Holdovers.
Bad.
Bland.
Killers of the Flower Moon.
Great.
Fantastic.
Maestro.
Hate.
Accent.
Oppenheimer.
Overrated.
Sexy communist. Sorry, that's too much.
We can pretend it's one word. Past lives.
Um, uh, I don't, I don't know what one word to say, but great.
Bob.
It took me a while to understand what you meant by Bob. Like I was thinking like Bob Odenkirk's not in that. Poor Things.
Haven't seen.
Uneven.
Ooh. And The Zone of Interest.
I don't think any of us have seen it.
None of us have watched it, but I will watch it this weekend. But anyway, uh, now that we've gotten the lesser category out of the way, let's get to what we actually want to talk about. Uh, and let's start with animated short, if I can find that here. So I'm gonna first just list off the nominated films and then also name the ones that missed the nomination. So the five nominees we have are Letter to a Pig, 95 Senses, Our Uniform, Pachyderm, and War is Over, inspired by the music of John and Yoko. And what missed was, let me just, so, 27, Boom, Dog Apartment, Eva, A Kind of Testament, Once Upon a Studio, Pete, Smoke, and Wild Summon. So, Ronaldo, what do you think of this lineup, first of all? Like what sticks out as good? What's good? What's bad? Like what do you think of this?
What I think is that it's not nearly as bad as it could have been. The only like outright bad nominee, in my opinion, is War is Over, just probably gonna win. But they resisted Once Upon a Studio, which was just like an ad for Disney.
Yeah.
They resisted Smoke or Umo, whatever you want to call it. Um, they're like I'm also surprised that there's no stop motion this year.
Yeah, so like of the animation styles, I think most of the like we have one CG style, which is War is Over, and then we have uh a couple 2D styles, A Letter to a Pig and Pachyderm. 95 Senses mixes a bunch of different styles. And then Our Uniform, Our Uniform is stop motion, I think, because it uses like it did actually
Oh
use
yeah, yeah. I forgot about
like
that.
actual like
It's
fabric to make it the film.
yeah, it's like denim.
Yeah, so
But yeah, I'm happy that that got in, and I'm also happy for 95 Senses. Those are probably my two favorites in that
yeah.
lineup. And I also like Pachyderm.
Uh, but I want to start with War is Over to just to get into this real quick because like you said, it is the most likely nominee here. And I want Zita, I want you to tell me what by the title War is Over, inspired by the music of John and Yoko. What do you think this
Oh,
movie is about?
okay. So initially I thought, ooh, did they, remake the Alain Resnais film from the 60s? But no,
I
seemingly not. That
No,
would be a
that's too
weird
good for
move.
the Academy.
No, that would be a weird move too, to go, oh, this, famous art house director, but we're not going to take inspiration from one of his best known films. We're going to pick essentially a B-side and run with that. Anyway, no. So John and Yoko, I assume it's some sort of tribute to them. Is it psychedelic in some way? Is it a sort of fragmented portrait of their lives during the sit-in, or I
No,
don't know.
it is
You're
not.
Okay.
giving them
It
too much credit.
that sounds much more interesting than the film we got. So this is so I'll say like so the nominees here are Dave Mullins and Brad Booker, but the people behind the film that we really actually, know about and care about are Peter Jackson and Sean Lennon, who is the son of John and Yoko.
Who
And
keeps embarrassing himself, who keeps effing up
he
on social
that's
media.
the War is Over Oscar campaign in action. But so what this film is, it's an anti-war movie. So it's essentially based around the first credit of the fucking credits is a music and message by John and Yoko. So it's like it's about Xmas War is Over. And the plot of the film is we have this soldier, I think it's World War One, and who is like using a carrier pigeon to play chess with some other guy. And it's like he gets little chess note moves on a little note and whatever. And it's like everybody around him is like all interested in the chess game, but then it's like they have to go out to battle and kill the other guy. In in the battle, as he's about to be killed, like the other guy's pocket gets ripped open and he sees that the enemy soldier has all the chess notes. He's the one he's been playing chess with this whole time. Right. And it's like, so it's like, wow. But not only that, they see their carrier pigeon flying in and it gets blown up and shot down. And they rush over to the pigeon as it's dying. Like it has a little note on it. It unfurls a note which and it reads, "War is over." The music starts playing and they try to
Mhm.
get everybody to stop fighting. And it's like that's the movie. And it's so embarrassing. It's so
Cringe.
ugly. It's just an absolute piece of shit movie.
Hmm.
Anything I miss, Ronaldo? Anything else you'd like to add?
It also looks ugly.
Oh.
Yes.
The animation isn't good.
It
Uh,
wants to do this like weird Pixar style and it just doesn't work. I guess it's less Pixar style, more just generic CG animated person style.
I don't, how can he has cool parents? Why is he the way he is?
I mean, John Lennon's weird and not bad.
Yeah, yeah, I guess that's it.
He gets it from his dad.
Mm. It's like how we all discovered that Chet Hanks is like that because of Rita Wilson.
Yeah. John Lennon is the Chet Hanks of musicians
Hmm.
of music. All right. But yeah, Ronaldo, pick another film that you'd like to talk about from the lineup, like that you want to explain to Zita.
Well, I feel like the most interesting to explain would be Letter to a Pig.
Go ahead.
Oh.
The thing is, I don't even know how to describe it. It's like about a girl. It's about a girl in school who's listening to a Holocaust survivor talk about his experiences, I guess, and they keep comparing everything to like this pig. Um,
Okay. Okay.
It's so the film starts with like this scene of like a Holocaust, like a kid like trying to escape from the Nazis, and he hides in a barn. All right, and then we find out like this is like a story that this Holocaust survivor is telling in this school, and this girl like. I think if I remember correctly, like the girl seems bored at first, but then as she starts like actually listening to him, it like transforms into this weird. It's very surreal. It transforms into like all the kids are like in this barn and then like there's this giant pig and it's a weird movie. It I barely remember it because I watched it like weeks ago. Oh, but I didn't like it when I watched it. Like I appreciate I like that it's being different. And it's like there's another nominee on the short list, Humo Smoke, that like that one was so bad it made me appreciate this one more for being like at least an interesting way to tell like a Holocaust story. But it's just like I don't know. It just did not work for me. It felt a little bit like you know just bad, you know? But
Hmm.
let's move on from Letter Pig. I don't like the movie. Ronaldo, you were kinder to it, I think. Like you at least thought it was decent, right?
I it was mostly because of the animation style. I didn't really know what was going on a lot of the time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like Letter to a Pig at least feels like at least justified. It justifies itself in like using this horrific narrative. But at the same time, it's just I just didn't like it. Uh, but what a movie I did like, I want to talk about next is 95 Senses. This it is my favorite of this lineup at least. There is one better film on the short list, but of these five, it's the one I want to pick, and it's the one that features nominee Jared Hess, aka the guy who made Napoleon Dynamite, as well as his wife Jershua or Jerusha. Yeah. So 95 Senses stars Tim Blake Nelson and he voices like this old man recounting his life and he the way he does it is by like focusing on like the different like senses, sound, smell, taste. But as the film goes on, you slowly realize that he is on death row for burning a building down and like not realizing that like his friend and his family were inside it. And it's just like he talks about like his last meal and stuff like that. And it's like it uses all these different animation styles when going through the different senses, and it's like it's darkly funny at times, but it's also just very it's just very good. Something I didn't expect the guy who made it Napoleon Dynamite to be able to make, but I'm very glad he made it because it's very, very good. What about you, Ronaldo?
I really like because like they got a lot of different animators to animate like different sections of the movie because there's a lot like him talking about his life through his senses of like what he experienced through his taste and through his eyes. And like each section of the movie has its own unique style. Um, and I appreciated that part of it. I think that of the nominees, it's probably the most inventive visually, and yeah, I enjoyed it a lot.
What's your reaction, Zita, to hearing that Jared Hess is now an Oscar nominee?
I think that's cool. I like it when people, I enjoy it when people make a sort of mild comeback because no offense to Jared, but it's not as though this short is going to be on the radar of people who wear vote for Pedro shirts to Halloween. When it's sort of, a Brendan Fraser level comeback, it can be a bit obnoxious. I think this sort of low level success I can get behind.
Hmm. Yeah, and it's like I have a friend who like I wouldn't call her like a big Jared Hess fan, but she has like an interest in him, and so it's just like I sent her the short like as soon as I watched it, and it's like I'm sure she's happy that he got nominated. Um, but yeah, so Ronaldo, would you like to talk about our uniform or pachyderm?
Our uniform.
Go ahead.
So that's probably my favorite of the ones that got nominated, and it's about the director talking about her uniform when she was in school, and it's animated through like denim and like cutouts of denim, like moving them through stop motion, and it's like her talking about her relationship with her uniform and the hijab, and when she like how first got her to notice that she was a woman, like the difference of women in Iran, and yeah, it's really good.
Mhm. Yeah, it it was a really good film. It has a it tells the story in a really nice way. It has a good sense of humor about it. It's a just a very well told story. The animation is really interesting too. Like it's nice to still have like unique animation in mediums like featured in this category. It's why I like talking about best animated short. Just a solid, really good film. It's just like it and I didn't expect it to get nominated because there is a line in the film where they are saying like death to Israel, death to the United States. It's just like which is like just part of her memory of being in Iran. It's just like, oh, the Academy's not gonna go for it now. But I'm glad they did.
Me too.
Hmm.
Yeah. And
Anything better than Humo.
yes, anything is better than smoke. Uh so now any reactions, Zita?
No, I mean, I'm glad to hear that you like it.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have a sort of violent reaction to some of these shorts
Like
getting
war is over.
yeah. So, it's good. I'm happy for you that you didn't sit through something that you hate.
Well, okay. I don't hate Pachyderm, but that is the last film. And so this one is about a girl who's like telling if I remember correctly, it's like her telling her story of her childhood, but like her t childhood with her grandfather. I
Yeah,
think so.
and then
And
it's revealed.
it's revealed that he's been sexually assaulting her, which is, fun revelation to have in a short film. And it's
Mm.
just it just and the thing about it is that it doesn't do it like so like blatantly like there was Eviloo last year where it just like it was this whole like dun 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 montage about it. Yeah, but like this one it like you have to like actually listen to the dialogue in order to like understand what they're saying. But uh so I appreciate that. I appreciate a little more subtlety, but at the same time uh, just these short films that are like, oh, I was having a normal childhood, but actually, I wasn't. It was traumatic. And it's just like these kind of short films just feel like so basic and just trying to get that emotional sting out of you, just like just stab you in the gut for a second, when you least expect it. And it's just like, and also the animation just isn't that good or interesting either. Or like they only really animated half the movie because it's not fully animated. It feels like a storybook the way that the frames like change or whatever. Or it's just it's fine. It's a fine movie. It's definitely like it's middle of the pack here, but it's not great. It could have been better. What about you, Ronaldo? Anything you'd
I
like
don't
to add?
really have much to add to that. I agree that it was handled in a somewhat sensitive way, the reveal, and that it gives some power to her in the way that she handles it at the end. And I did like the animation style. It was different, at least.
Mhm. All right. So now let's talk about the short list here. Like what did we want to get nominated? What did we not want to get nominated?
Okay, so first of all, a kind of treatment. That movie is well, she, yeah, it's amazing. It's great. It's like about this woman who finds this animated clips that some random woman made about her, like from looking at her Instagram posts. Like this woman was just animating the photos that she saw in this random woman's Instagram, and then she finds out that it's because they have the same name, and she was dying of cancer, and it's like her discovering all these weird clips of herself animated made by a woman that she didn't even know, and then the woman dies, and she like I don't know how to describe it, but it's so good.
Yeah, it's like the clips like at first it's just like pictures from her Facebook but like animated more fully like to show more of the scene. But then like as the film goes on you see the clips get like weirder and weirder how it's just like there's like these weird like through lines about like her wanting to have a baby or something. And then all of a sudden they get like really surreal like there's this skeleton and there's the
Yeah, like
birth
the one,
scene.
yeah, and the one where she has the head in the back of her head.
Yes. Though that one wasn't an animation, I don't think. That
It
was
wasn't?
I don't think. Well, maybe everything we see is supposed to be the animations, but I thought never mind. It is an animation. My bad. I I guess when I was watching it, I think maybe I thought that it was like that was like meant to be real life. It's just like that's something that happened to her. But no, that doesn't make sense for her to like happen to her. No, it's just I'm stupid. I'm sorry. And there's also a scene where there's a clip from The Simpsons in there. That I like that. But yeah, The Kind of Testament is the best film in this lineup. Probably, I think it's my favorite film of the entire short film shortlists.
Mine too.
Yeah. A-
What
any
did you think?
questions, Zita? Any comments?
Well, I'd sort of like to go off on a tangent. So I tried to engage Ronaldo in a discussion of this earlier in the week, and this topic didn't really interest him. Um, Eliza, are you aware of the director Pablo Larraín?
Pablo Larraín, I know of him, yes.
Yeah, yeah. So you know how sort of recently, physical appearance wise, he's become a sort of generic, attractive South American person, I would say. He's
Looking
very
him up
thin,
real
he's very
quick.
svelte.
He's really hot.
I,
Yeah, he's
yeah,
hot.
no, but what I'm saying is you have to go back to 2009 because that is when he was uh, like explosively hot, hot in a way that's unique. Whereas, now he's attractive in a way that's very safe, very sanitized, very clinical. 2009 Pablo Larraín, he looks capable of doing things sexually.
2009. So I found one pic that's like uh Pablo Larraín from it says 2009, and in this one he does not look good. He looks
The difference
sweaty and miserable.
the difference is that she liked him chubbier.
Yeah,
Okay.
I just look, when a man is a sort of traditional beefcake, when there's more to work with, that's more fun. When he's all thin, what do you even do? When you have to hold someone who feels like a rail, it's not romantic, I feel, or sexy. Anyway, I've said my piece. That's how I feel.
I love how this was the point where you brought him up. It's just like right after a kind of testament. It's like we talk about this really surreal short film, but it's just like, okay, but Pablo Larraín, when is he hottest?
I'm saying that just there was decline and it depresses me, you know? He really had something and he threw it away. And for what?
I think he looks better now.
Oh, okay.
Me too.
So let's talk about Once Upon a Studio. And if there was any nominee that you might have already seen, Zita, it would be this one. Have you seen this?
No.
Okay. So this is the Disney short film that everybody just expected to get nominated. And the entire short film is just, wow, it's been 100 years since Disney happened. And then all the characters from every movie make a cameo, and then that's it. And there's one scene where Mickey's like, "Thank you, Walt," and then that's it. It's just, like, how long is it? It's like 10 minutes, I think. Like, yeah, it's 9 minutes. It's just endless cameos, which if you care about the cameos like I do, you think it's fun. You think it's cute. If you don't care about the cameos like Ronaldo, you think it's tiresome.
Exactly. And
Yes.
I guess it looks nice because it's Disney. They have a budget.
And they finally released the 2D animators from their cells.
Yeah, because it's like a combination of like live action with 2D animation with 3D animation because they just got like all the characters. Like they just filmed inside Disney Studios and then they put all the characters there. And I guess it looked nice, but it's not really a short film. It's just like an ad.
Yeah. Yeah, like it's meant to be a celebration of the 100 years of Disney. And it's just like, okay, here's every character we did. And it's like I do appreciate how like they did really go deep with some of these characters. Like and it's like and especially since I watched like this category, I watched a bunch of old Disney shorts. I got to recognize like Humphrey Bear and the fucking park ranger and of course who could forget Johnny Fedora and Alice Bluebonnet. It's just all these random different characters. Oh, and of course, my favorite, Willie the Operatic Whale. I'm pretty sure he was there as well. But um, yeah, it's just cameos. It's just every Disney character. That's all, and it's just like if that's what you want, it's fine. But it's the Academy rightfully recognized that it's not really an Oscar nominee.
Good.
Hmm.
Hmm. So if you want to check that out on Disney Plus Zeta, you can.
Okay. Yeah, I'll watch it at work when I'm meant to be typing.
Uh, So I want to talk about Dog Apartment next because I know Christoph would be mad at us if we didn't, but I
Oh,
also do not know how to describe it.
okay.
Yeah,
I
so
like
it's
I like
it,
just sorry if I can just interject. I like the hold that Christoph has over this podcast. It's like, you know, in the way that now we're seeing all of these elite universities are essentially just controlled by donors. I feel as though Christoph's presence here is a lot like that, where it feels as though Eliza's, concerned. Oh my God, what if we upset Christoph?
Be-
What if he pulls funding? What if he stops supporting us? It's a disaster.
I mean,
And he,
I
he's
guess that
he's
is literally it.
yeah, he's like a quiet sort of puppet master who's manipulating everything behind the scenes. And if you accidentally piss him off, he will go full Stalin on you and have you removed.
The reason I'm like this is because he's the only person I know will reliably listen to this podcast.
Yeah, well,
So in a sense, he is like a donor because he's the only one who supports the show.
he's the Bill Ackman of this podcast.
And it's like not to really spoil like what the post best animated short era of this podcast is going to look like, but I am planning a regular Kristoff segment where it's like
Mm,
every few weeks we get a Kristoff episode where it's just me and him talk about random films. But yeah,
okay.
uh, so Dog Apartment, it's a stop motion film. The guy lives in an apartment that acts like a dog, and then he walks around his dreary Estonian
Yes, he has to
city.
feed it every morning,
He has to feed it every morning. It's just like,
or it's gonna eat him. Like, oh,
and he wears this like special suit because like when it wakes him up and barks, it tosses him around the apartment, so he has to like protect himself so he doesn't get injured. And it's like, but the dog apartment itself only takes up like a tiny portion of it. It's like a lot of it is just like him,
yeah.
like
It's like just at the beginning and the end.
yeah. It's he also used to be a ballet dancer, and
Yeah, there's like this whole section where he dances to, is it Swan Lake?
I don't remember that the
I think it's
exact
Swan Lake.
piece, but it's a very interesting film. It's a very visually interesting film. It's one
Yeah,
that I was hoping the Academy would nominate because I think that they do appreciate like just films that are fucking out there sometimes. Like I usually have a random like just weird ass film, but I guess this year that's 99 cent 95 census, I mean. Um but
yeah, and like the whole thing is that he's walking around because he needs to feed meat to his dog, and he's like, is it like collecting trash or something to like get paid in meat so that he can go and feed his apartment.
yes.
And like at one point he wants more, so he starts dancing. And like I said, I think it was Swan Lake. And then he gets like an extra bit of meat. And
Hmm.
he saves that for the morning because the house wakes up hungry.
Yeah, and it's just like the endless cycle where it's just like he has to do all this just so he can survive to tomorrow. Yeah, and it's a nice Eastern European short film that I wish would have been nominated. But instead we get War is Over.
Ooh, that's frosty.
It's we do not like War is Over. It is easily the worst film in this lineup.
Yeah.
And
Well,
which means
It's
it's
the
probably
worst
going to
in
win.
all of the shortlists, I
Uh
would say.
for me, I let me just double check my short list because I think there are worse films. Like yeah, there is a worse nominee for me, like in the other two categories, which we will get to. But uh for now, but War is Over was the worst on the animated shortlist at least. But yeah,
Yes.
but anything else we want to talk about that was on the short list that was like notably good or notably bad? Oh, we should talk about Smoke, aka Humo, because we've been hinting at it a while. So,
Yeah, since I'm the well, it's in Spanish. It's like a Mexican movie, I think. And
yeah.
it's about this little kid in a concentration camp who is basically dying. He's on his way to a gas chamber, and then we hear him narrating his life in the camp and saying how everyone is dying around him and how hungry he is and how it smells inside the gas chamber. And basically just misery porn, I guess. But it
Yeah,
kind of looks nice, maybe.
yeah, it has a very nice animation style, but it is the most stereotypical Holocaust movie you can possibly think of, where it's just like th this person got taken away and they haven't come back yet. And as it does that annoying little like night like where the child is like it doesn't understand what's happening right now, and so it tells tells what's happening in like these vague terms that's just like or like the ways it misunderstands things as just like but like the audience supposed to be like, oh no, it's actually a bad thing that's happened. And it's just it is terrible. It is the most just tug at your heartstrings, exploit your emotions kind of short film that the Academy just fucking loves. It is so irritating to watch.
Yes, completely agree with everything he said.
So yeah.
She said.
So you know exactly what this film is because it's been made over and over again. It's been nominated for Oscars over and over again. And it is just terrible. But Guillermo del Toro loves it. And because of that, we thought it was going to get in, but it didn't, thankfully.
Yeah. Even though I would have taken it over War Over.
Oh yeah, it's slightly better than War is Over. Just because at least it's not fucking ugly.
Yeah.
And another one I want to talk about, just because of my own personal experience with it, is the movie Pete. So Pete is a story about, I think it's about the director's partner who is like, I think nowadays they identify as a woman, but as a child they were very gender non-conforming, and it's just like and they go by the name Pete and whatever, or but it's just like they 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 were born a woman, but it's like they were born a girl, but they want to play baseball with the boys and stuff. And it's just like it's just this really generic story about gender identity, about like just like oh well my friends accept well like, want me to play baseball with them, but the adults they think it's wrong. And it's just I, in my letterboxd review I called I said the most milquetoast story about gender identity that could have been told. And who should comment on it but the account Pete the Film, which is clearly run by the director, who left a very condescending, passive-aggressive comment on it while trying to pretend to be nice that I won't bother reading out, nor will I read out my condescending, passive-aggressive reply. But let's just
So
say
the director replied to you?
yes. I'll send you the link so you can read it for yourself, but I won't bother reading it out here.
But was it on Letterboxd or
It
was
was
it?
on Letterboxd, yeah.
Oh, I can look for it myself.
Uh, but yeah, that was very funny to find to get their notification for. And I when I looked at their account, it's like they were liking a bunch of other reviews, but I was like one of the only ones they commented on. Uh, but yeah. What do you think, Zita? What do you think of the films we told you about?
I mean, it sounds like an interesting mix. It sounds like a lot of these choices would have been preferable to The War Is Over, but I assume it got in because of the star power of the
Mm,
names attached.
yeah, because it's the music and message of John and Yoko.
Mm, yes.
But just a quick rundown of the other nominees. We have Wild Summon, which is like it tells the story of a salmon, except it replaces a salmon with like a person, like this female diver or looking person. So it's like it tries to humanize the life of a salmon. We have Eva, which is about a woman whose husband just died, and we watched the funeral. And it gets really surreal at times. There's like this woodpecker motif. It's like it's really interesting thing, but it's also it goes on for a bit long. It's a little boring. We have Boom, which is a deleted scene from Ice Age. Not really, but it feels like it. About these two dodos who are on like an island and with a volcano that's erupting, and and they have to get their eggs off the island. And there's one that's very clearly a dad dodo, and the other that's very clearly a mom. Though at least the designs are exactly the same, so it's like it's not like the terrible like, oh, this bird has boobs kind of thing. But it's like they still like characterize them in a very good way. And it's like it's just a light comedy short. It's fine. It's whatever. And then we have 27, which is a completely aimless movie about a woman who like likes to dance, but at the same time, it's fun. It's cute. She I like the animation style. I like the dance scenes, but it's also just completely plotless. Also, she has sex with cops. It's like she like the cops are about to arrest her, but then she fucks them. It's great.
Oh.
Yeah, love that. She has a threesome with a bisexual threesome with two
Yes.
cops.
Yes.
Mhm.
It's fun. But yeah, I think that now we can move on. Should we do live action or should we do documentary?
Documentary first.
Let's do documentary. So, our nominees for documentary short film are The ABCs of Book Banning, The Barber of Little Rock, Island in Between, The Last Repair Shop, and Nine Nine and Waipo. And Ronaldo. Oh, let me also list the unnominated films as well. So we have Bear, Between Earth and Sky, Black Girls Play, Camp Courage, Deciding Vote, How We Get Free, If Dreams Were Lightning, Last Song from Kabul, Oasis, and Wings of Dust. So Ronaldo, I know you want to talk about Nine Nine Wipeout, so you can go ahead and start with that.
Yeah, so Nai Nai and Waipo is about these two old ladies who are both of the director's grandmas, so one from his dad's side, the other one from his mom's side. So it looks like their husbands have died, and so they're living together now, and they're like best friends. And it's like about them being goofy together, and they're really cute old ladies, so very enjoyable to watch. And also, the director of it has a movie at Sundance right now.
Oh, that's
It's called
good for him.
Diddy, I think, or Dai, I don't know.
Oh yeah, how about that? Um, So yeah, in Nine Nine Wipeout, they also there's all like it is like fun and goofy, but they also do have like these reflections on death and stuff. It's like it does have moments for more profound stuff. It's but I I was not nearly as affected by it as Ronaldo was. Like it's your favorite film on the documentary short or second favorite film on the documentary short list, right?
Yes, I'm favorite of the nominees.
Favorite of the nominees. Uh, Actually, what is my favorite of the nominees? I don't even know.
Probably,
What is
I
it?
don't know.
Island in Between, maybe?
You really didn't like the
Yeah,
nominees.
like Island in Between, like of the short list, Island in Between was my eighth out of 15, and the other
It's
four
your
are in my
favorite of the
bottom
nominees.
five. Like, so this is almost worst case scenario for me technically, but also like none of these are none of these are bad or anything except for ABC's The Book Banning, which we'll talk about next, I guess. But it's just like the documentaries just end up kind of whatever in general. It's like, but yeah, so I'll talk about ABC's of book banning. So the film wants you to think that this is like this important message about, or it's like telling this important message about about like book banning, and it's like about how we should let children read these books that but instead these governments are like forcing them to like not read them because they don't want their kids to learn about racism or homosexuality or things like that. Uh, but what the film actually is just telling you plot descriptions of books that have been banned, and that's it. It wants you to think that it's like it's letting these children like talk for themselves or whatever. Like I think even like the opening title card is like everybody has opinions about banned books, but what do the children think? Or it's like, but we are gonna listen to the people who actually matter, the children. But then the children don't get to fucking say anything. Instead, they just read out plot descriptions of books that have been banned. And that's it.
Yeah, and then
That
they're
is
like, "Oh, I don't think that this book should be banned because people should learn about being gay because then gay people will see this book and be happy." And it's basically that for 30 minutes, over
it's
30 minutes. No, or is it
it's
under? I don't know.
I thought it was only like 20 something, but yeah,
Yeah, like
it's
26.
but yeah, it is so nothing. It's like there could have been there's so many ways you could have made a good, interesting documentary about this. Even just a generic, like decent documentary. But this actively fails at doing what it's trying to do. It doesn't let the children's voice really be heard. It doesn't really explain like why these books are banned and why they shouldn't be banned and like how like letting children read these books can help them. It does nothing. It's just the most bland thing. It it's frustrating to watch and
And you
bland.
know, something else, it's also like really ugly because like th there are a lot of transitions of like them showing like, oh, this book, and they show like a description on the side, and then they put like a stamp on top of it that says like, oh, condemned or like banned or something. Or no, or
Yes.
challenged.
It does the same thing. It's like
Oh,
book
like
title.
half the runtime is that.
It's so it's so repetitive. It's so it's not a good documentary. It's not a good documentary in the slightest. And wait, I forgot about Zeta. What was your reaction to Nine and Wipo? Got to ask that.
Um,
And
I mean,
also
I don't.
ABC's a book banning since we're here.
Okay, I guess I was more intrigued by your description of the book banning centric one, just because that does seem to be what a lot of the films nominated in this category are like. There's a big issue that the film is addressing, but then it doesn't really address it, or it addresses it in the safest, most inoffensive way possible, which means that it still isn't really addressing the problem. But that's the Oscars in general.
Hmm. Yeah, and we could talk about these other three nominees, but I also just don't have much to say about them either because they're just fine. It's like
No, I
last
hate The Last Repair Shop. I
you
hate
you
that
go
movie.
ahead.
Yeah, I hate it because I hate the director. It's the same guy that made a Concerto is a Conversation, which I think got nominated. He won for The Queen of Basketball, which I kind of liked, but it's just like so basic. It's like about a lot of people just talking about how much they love music and how it changed their life, and then they never really show any actual music until the end credits. And it's like way too long. It's almost 40 minutes.
Yeah, and it's like it's this repair. It's well, the last repair shop is just like this instrument repair shop, and it's like in Los Angeles, right, or San Francisco or
Yeah,
something like that,
probably something like that.
California. And it's just wow. The this repair shop. Well, actually, it's not even really about the repair shop. It's just interviewing people who go to a repair shop and just talk to them about music. Just like, yeah, music is cool. And it's like it's fine. It's whatever. But that's it. And then Island in Between is the like I don't remember anything about Barber of Little Rock. So I'll just go to Island in Between because that one is about Taiwan, or Chinese Taipei, if you live in China, I want to call it that. Uh, um, it's about this man. I think if I remember correctly, he was born and grew up in Taiwan, and then it
Yeah, he moved
through
to the
his
States.
yeah, and he moved to the United States, and it's through his eyes. It's just like his view of Taiwan and also China and his relationship to the United States, and just like how all of the three of them intermingle. And it is my favorite as nominees because actually one, has something to say, and two, it shows it from a unique perspective. And it's just like that shouldn't be hard to get in a category about documentaries, but it's what we have. But it's good. It's
Yeah,
decent.
and
It's yeah.
it's like told focusing on the on an island that basically belongs to Taiwan, but it's right next to China. So like if you stand on the beach, you can look at the buildings in China, and like they use it as a military base, and it's like about how they have to do like military service there and how people grow up looking at China and like how it's right there, but they can't really go. And then him visiting China and yeah, a lot of things. It's really
Mhm.
interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. And I remember when I was watching the short list, I was like, this is actually a decent year for documentaries. There aren't any miserable ones or anything like that.
Yeah,
Uh,
there just weren't like a lot of great ones.
yeah. Well, there were a few that I really liked. Like, but it's also, and it's just like the Academy nominated four of my bottom five. So it's just like there could have been better. But also, I'm just realizing, is there no Netflix nominee this year? Because
There isn't. Camp Courage didn't get in.
Yeah, Camp Courage didn't get in. So thank fucking Christ that Netflix can't just run this category. But then again, it's just like maybe I guess that leaves it open to Paramount Plus, I guess. Yes, or fucking Disney Plus with 99 and Wipo.
Yeah, I think that's probably winning.
Actually, what? Actually, never mind. Uh, but yeah. Um. Oh yeah, we still have to talk about another nominee. We have to talk about Barber of Little Rock. Again, I
There's
completely
nothing to
forget
say.
about what this one is really about.
It's like
It,
about this barber who like teaches black people how to be barbers so that they can like improve their lives, and then he also like funded like a charity or something that helps impoverished people in LA, I think. Yeah.
mhm. Yeah, it's an Oscar nominated documentary. It is what it is. Heaven is traffic jam on the 405. Anyway, let's look at the short list for a little bit because I know that we Ronaldo and I both want to talk about Bear, but I'll let you take the lead on it.
Yeah, so Bear is this documentary which when it starts it's just like a nature documentary. It's just like bears being bears. But then we cut and see that it's actually about the person who is editing this documentary about bears. So like there's this director, I think it's German, right?
Yeah, German.
And he's, I think, a teacher at a school, and so he gets one of his students, who is the director of Bear, to edit the footage that he has of the bears. And then she finds that he also has a lot of footage of women. So like random women that he filmed without their permission, and he's like focusing on their boobs and their ass, and then she confronts him about it, and he's like, "Oh, like I just think that women are beautiful and I want to capture that beauty or something." And it's like about her having conversations with him on like the male gaze and art and how and misogyny, and just it's really fascinating.
Mhm. Yeah, I want to say like he isn't her teacher. I think he's just a random guy who contacted the university and was like, "Hey, I have a lot of bear footage. Can y'all have somebody help me make this into a movie?" And they're like, "Sure, we'll assign this student because she likes nature documentaries." And so then she goes in, she while she's digitizing the footage, she find starts to find the footage of women, and then that's when it's like she's horrified, and then it's just like she wants to just drop the project immediately, but then it's like, no, let's make a movie about this. And I'm kind of shocked that the movie exists. Like I'm shocked that she was able to like get this movie finished, and I assume she would have to get him to agree to let
Yeah,
her.
because she's using his footage.
Yeah, and he's in it a lot, and so it's just like he must have been okay. Like she must have convinced him well enough to let her finish the movie and but let it get released publicly. I
Yeah, because
wonder.
because
Oh, go
the
ahead.
bit I found most interesting is that he's never like actually like outwardly like hostile towards her. He's like always very like trying to understand, but not really, because he's saying like, oh, like you're saying things, and I'm trying to agree with you, but I like don't know what I can do to be better. Like I don't know what I need to say to satisfy you or something like that. And it's like he's saying that he's trying to make an effort, but he's not really doing anything. And he's not even listening to her properly.
Yeah, and it's just like a horrifying realization about just like how men are just like this. Like there are millions upon millions upon millions of people exactly like him. You know, it's like who probably do this exact same thing except worse. It's just like it's just horrifying to watch at certain points. It's like and like he even acknowledges that too. It's just like, there's like I take comfort in the fact that there's a lot of men like me. Yeah, it's just like it's awful. But it's a great movie. Great
Yeah, what do you
documentary.
think, Zita?
Okay, so this has been an interesting experience for me because this is truly, it's like listening to the two of you speaking a foreign language. I have no idea what on earth is going on. And it's kind of like when Valentina and Ronaldo will just start speaking Spanish in the middle of the Zoom. And it's sort of pleasing in a way that there's a part of me that, doesn't want to have to, process words and emotions. And so just sort of having language be this thing that I can't understand, it's sort of soothing in a way. I don't know what that says about me. But yeah, this has been nice. And sounds interesting. I'm still intrigued that I've managed to befriend multiple people who are among the very limited number of people who have an interest in this. And the fact that there are several of them in my social circle is interesting.
You made your bed and now you have to sleep in it.
Yeah.
But yeah, this
I can
is
send you Bear so you can watch it. I have it.
yeah, you should watch
Ooh.
Bear. It is very good.
Mm.
But outside of the rest of the short list, it's just generic documentaries. Like we have Between the Earth and Sky. It's about this woman who she likes trees and
She
not
climbs trees.
she climbs trees, and it's very pretty. It's a well shot documentary. Then we have How We Get Free is about a woman who's trying to do. I think she's part of like the bail project or something where it's just she tries to get people who are in jail without crime, like without being charged for a crime, but they can't get out of jail because they can't afford the bail. And so she's trying to help people get out of that.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
she runs for office, and now she's like a representative or something in Congress.
Huh. And then we have Deciding Vote about a New York State assemblyman and who like was the deciding vote in New York legalizing abortion which was 3 years before Roe versus Wade. Hey, but it's just like and the documentary even goes into that how it's just like it uh how the country eventually like agreed with him, but it's like this was a big thing for him about how like he was originally against abortion because he's like a Catholic and it's like against his religion, but his children were like don't be the person who is the reason abortion doesn't get isn't legalized. But it's like he was it turned out like it did fail by one vote, so it's like he then had stood up and was like, "Hey, let me change my vote, please. I don't want to disappoint my kids like this." And so he changed his vote, and it's a nice little story. Uh, then we have If Dreams Were Lightning, which is just about how American healthcare sucks. We have Last Song from Kabul, which is this lo lovely little documentary about this all-female orchestra from Afghanistan, and who and just how they've been persecuted in under the Taliban and things like that, how they had to escape to Portugal, and it's just but I really liked it. It's it sounds like a really generic Oscar documentary, but it's actually very good.
And it
It
actually has music.
Yeah, it actually has music. And I'm really shocked it didn't get nominated. I thought the Academy would have loved it, but
Me
I
too. I thought
guess
it
they
could
didn't.
win.
Yeah, it should have won. It should have been nominated and won. At least, well, Bear should have won, but the Academy probably wasn't going to go for Bear. But Last Song in Kabul was realistic, and it seems really up their alley. But anyway, uh
Mhm.
we have Black Girls Play, which is about the story of uh the childhood hand games and things like that, and how they're rooted in Black culture, or it goes through the really interesting story about how they came to be and things like that, uh, and just how it's connected with all these different things. It's a really good example of how documentaries can use something seemingly so simple like children's games, and how it can reflect on race and things like that. Again, a lot of documentaries that are better than what was nominated. uh, Oasis, I do not remember very well.
I can talk about that one. I liked it.
You go
So
ahead.
it's about these two brothers, one of whom is autistic, and about their relationship and how they are really good friends, and how the brother who is who's not disabled, takes care of his brother, and just about the relationship. And I think it would have been lovely if it was just about them interacting, which most of it is like that. But then they have this interview, this talking heads things, when they ask him oh, what do you think of your brother, and how does he take care of you? And then they ask his brother oh, what do you think of your brother, and who's going to be when he grows up? And that part I didn't really like, but that's just 2 minutes of the whole thing, but it's good.
And you can also talk about Wings of Dust because I know you really like that one.
Yeah, so that one is about this journalist in Peru who is indigenous, an indigenous man, and he is making a lot of he's basically reporting about the damage that the corporations and the government are doing to the environment with all the factories and things like that, and how he is prosecuted by the government. And actually the short isn't allowed to be shown in North America because of a danger of him being killed.
Yeah. And then we also have Camp Courage, which is the Netflix documentary about Ukrainian refugees that is very boring and generic.
Yeah.
And I barely remember it. It's 30 minutes of nothing. Uh, and yeah, that's our documentaries. And the Academy disappointed us as usual. But now we will go on to the last category, which is live action short film. If I can find the picture. There it is. So our
And
Oh, what was that,
so
Zita?
sorry, Eliza, before we get into this one, I feel I need to interject. I'm going to try to sort of bully you into doing something that I am currently doing. So I've explained this to Ronaldo and everyone in our group chat, but I have to learn, I guess I have to become conversant in
In
German
German.
for a new job that I might be getting. And, it's been going relatively well. What I would like is a friend who's also learning German who I could practice with. Could I passive aggressively force you into learning a new language?
Probably not. That's a lot of work that I don't have
Yeah.
time for. I'm sorry, I can't learn German for you.
Okay.
It's like if I didn't learn German for Chris stuff, I mean,
Right, yeah. Mm, that's
Get him to
awkward.
practice with you.
Oh my God. That would no, I guess the thing though is that at least Eliza, if she were to learn, but she won't, would sort of be, closer to my level. Having to communicate with Christoph or Fritz, even though I guess that's the outcome of learning a
yes.
foreign language, is so much more stressful as a beginner.
But they can help you. It's just like they're probably going to
Mm.
be a lot more helpful than like someone who
Yeah.
also doesn't know German.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the blind leading the blind.
Exactly. Anyway, so our live action short film nominees, we have The After, bleh, Invincible, Night of Fortune, Red, White, and Blue, and The Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar. Or- And then our non-nominated films are, just give me one second. Bum. We have the Anne Frank gift shop and an avocado pit, Bienvenidos a Los Angeles, Dead Cat, Good Boy, Invisible Border, The One Note Man, The Shepherd, Strange Way of Life, and Yellow. So, I'm gonna start off by talking about. Let's talk about Knight of Fortune first. Like, let's leave the obvious ones for later. But Knight of Fortune was one that I was really surprised how much I liked because it's about a man. It's a dark comedy about a man whose wife has just passed away and he's in a funeral home. And it's like the film starts off with like he goes and like verify or no, he doesn't verify the body, I don't think. Actually, yes, he does. Yeah, he verifies his wife, and it's like he give him a little time to himself, and then it's like and it's like he's just so overcome with grief that he wants to distract himself, and he notices that the light is flickering, I think, and so he goes up, like tries to fix the light, it ends up breaking it completely, and it's like that got a massive laugh out of me, and from there, it's just this weird comedy of errors kind of thing. It's like he goes to other rooms, he meets this other guy who turns out like he has this one woman here, but then it's like the actual family of the woman that's here comes in. It's like they don't know this fucking guy. But then it turns out that his wife, like, if I remember correctly, it's like his wife didn't have a body or whenever she died. So he just hangs around the funeral home just pretending these other women are his wife, just like so he can have something to grieve, something to look at. And it's just like it's very touching, very heartwarming, but also it's still very funny. It's like it has a really nice balance to it that I really liked. Uh,
Yeah, I don't really have much else to say. I agree with everything, and it's good.
yeah. But you can talk about your favorite nominee, which is Invincible.
Yes, so Invincible is about this boy who seems to be in juvenile detention, and he basically, I think it's a holiday and they let him go home for a few days. And so it starts at the end of that when he has to go back to the juvenile detention center and about his life there and how depressed he is. And then one day he escapes and ends up killing himself.
It's based on a true story.
Yes, it's about someone that the director knew, I think a friend of theirs. And it's really beautifully shot, and the actor who plays the kid, he's amazing. And I hope he makes movies in the future.
Hmm. Yeah. And Christoph also really loves Invincible, but it was of the short list, it was my number six. So, but I think it's my third favorite of this lineup. Uh, yeah. But I'll talk about my second favorite, which is Red, White, and Blue, which so on the surface, it this is an abortion drama about a woman. She works as a waitress, but she needs to get money to pay for an abortion. and it's like but this very generous person in her restaurant gives her like this massive tip in order like hundreds of dollars in order to like help pay for it, just because she can tell that like that's what's weighing on her mind. And so then she travels out of state with her daughter, her just because she can't afford a baby. Well, we assume it's because she can't afford a babysitter, but then as they get to the abortion office, it's revealed that the abortion is actually for her teenage daughter, or not for her. Or it's like it does. And so on paper, this sounds like the most stereotypical Oscar short, or it sounds like so emotionally manipulative. But I found myself like genuinely thinking this was really great. Like I think it has some really good editing, really good acting from I think it's Brittany Snow, like who I didn't expect to actually be good, but Pitch Perfect stands one today. Uh,
They did.
but yes, but yeah, it's just a really good short film about what would be a stereotypical short film topic. And I'm very glad it was good, and I'm very glad it was nominated because it deserves it. Uh,
Um,
do you want to talk
yeah.
about which Netflix film do you want to talk about, Ronaldo? Or unless you have something else to say.
No, I don't have anything else to say, but I want to talk about of the Netflix to let's just get the bad one out of the way. The After, starring and produced by David Oyelowo, who is he a nominee?
I don't know. He is
Let me
not.
see. Let me look at it
Yeah,
real quick.
it's Misan Harriman and Nikki Bentham.
Okay, so he's not a nominee. But anyway, he produced it, he stars in it, and he plays this man who has a important job. I don't remember what he does, but he has a family and he never has time to spend with his family. And he tells them, and I think he misses a date that he has with them. And then, right when he's about to meet them outside, some random dude goes and murders his daughter, and his wife. No, he murders the daughter, and doesn't the wife kill herself?
Mm, I
I don't know.
thought
They
like
both die.
he went for the daughter, but then the wife steps in the way, and then no, actually, yeah,
They
I think
both
you're right.
die. That's the thing.
They're both but yeah, I think you're right. Like the daughter dies and the wife kills herself. Like it does this really stupid thing where it's just like it focuses on David Oyelowo. He's like, oh my God, my daughter's dead, and then it pans over to like the empty space where his wife would have been. He looks down over the edge and sees his wife's on the ground. It's just it's so terrible. It is the worst film on any of the short lists. It's and it goes into this period where he's like this Uber driver now and just like focuses on that, and it like he drives around this family and he sees they have a daughter. He gets all emotional. It is just the most hack shit ever. Just so emotionally manipulative, just so fucking terrible. It's awful. So of course it gets nominated.
I like
But
how
I don't think it's
depressed
gonna.
Eliza sounds. You're like a talkback radio host at the moment who's just, tired. You're sick.
I'm I feel the same way that oh, what's that famous news guy who like from the 60s or whatever, that
Cronkite?
Cronkite. I'm like Walter Cronkite reporting on the JFK assassination.
Mhm.
Anyway, The Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar is a Wes Anderson film, his first nomination in this category. I think it's his eighth nomination ever, maybe like sixth or seventh, but it's just it's this story within a story within a story within a story about Benedict Cumberbatch, who is like he goes to India, I
He's
think,
the
to
titular Henry Sugar.
he's the titular Henry Sugar, and he is this guy who wants to become super rich, and he learns this way to like see things without seeing them. It's which I think he learns from a book by Dev Patel, who learned it from a technique from Ben Kingsley, And then oh yeah, and then the top story is Ray finds who's Roald Dahl who's telling the story, I think. Yes. And then so yeah, story within a story within a story within a story. And so he learns this like ancient technique to and he becomes super rich by via gambling. And it's like he makes sure like to not win too much at the same casino, to make sure he loses sometimes so nobody knows he's cheating. And it's like all in all, but he makes a way to gain so much money, but he realizes his life is hollow. And so he uses it to secretly like fund all these like hospitals, I think, and things like that, just to really uh be nice and generous and just to make it so he's not like evil. I don't know. It's decent, but of like the quadrilogy of Roald Dahl shorts that Wes Anderson made, it is the longest and it is the worst. But it's still decent. It's still a good short, but I much preferred the other three, which were The Swan, Poison, and The Rat Catcher, which are all much more interesting. Like The Swan is really uh it's a sad story about this kid who gets bullied. The Rat Catcher is this really weird one where Ray finds plays this rat catcher guy who's just really gross. It's fucked up, but it's great. Uh, and then there's Poison, where it's just like Benedict Cumberbatch he's this soldier who has this snake, this very deadly snake that's like sleeping on him and he can't move. And Dev Patel is like his friend, and there's I think Ray Fiennes is like a doctor in that. It's really good. That Poison is my favorite of them, but they're all better than Henry Sugar, but Henry Sugar is the big pretty one, so it gets the nomination.
It's probably gonna win.
It might win. I you can't really do probably with the short film category.
When there's like such a big name with such big stars, I think that the problem was it getting nominated, and now that it is, it's probably gonna win. And
Okay.
it's Netflix.
Yeah,
They have money.
now that I think about it, Netflix is going to be pushing hard for Henry Sugar, though I also wouldn't count out the after. I think depending on how the promotion strategy goes, like whether like
I
if
don't think
they
that they're putting any money behind that.
I
Behind
I
the
think
after.
I think if they might try to promote both. And but if they do that, I think the after takes it. But
Hmm.
I guess we just have to wait and see. But
Also,
as for
unfortunately, I have to leave because I have to go to work. But you can finish with Zita.
okay, you go ahead. I'll tell Zita about the shortlisted films. But
Tell
hope
her
you have
about an
fun.
avocado pit.
I will tell her all about an avocado pit. It-
Okay, bye.
Ooh.
so an avocado pit is my favorite of the short list. Yes, and I wrote this really long review about how happy I was that it's like good. So it's about this transgender sex worker and the guy she wants to there's this guy who's like watching them from afar. So she goes up to him and it's just like, hey, like you want to have a good time? And he's like, no, I'm not here to service you. But it's like, oh, then just drive me down the block. And like as this is happening, I'm thinking, oh my God, this is gonna be a hate crime short film. This is gonna be a film that just like it ends with a hate crime, and it's just to make you feel terrible. And but then it's like as the film goes on, it's like about the two of them like having this really nice relationship, how they like they like he starts to like really become interested in her, and she's just there to have a good time. She's here to have fun. She knows like nothing's going to happen from this, but as it goes on, I'm still thinking there's going to be a hate crime at the end of this. It's just like it's all building up to when he like fucking beats her up, or some other guy like kills the guy I for like being with a trans woman or something. I don't know what's going to happen, but it's definitely going to be terrible, and I'm going to hate it. And I was like, I was trying to like not like it as much just because I knew it was going to be terrible, but I just kept falling in love with the characters and everything. But then it ends and there's no hate crime. It's like they just kind of part ways, and it's like the way it ends is like he tries to like if I remember correctly, it's like he he's he tries to like start a relationship with her, but it's like she has to like cut him off. It's just like, no, this will not work. It's just like we are not meant to be together. And it's just like, and she knows that like he would just like dump her off. It's just like, this is, you don't really love me. You just love the idea of me. You love the experience of me. It's like you don't love me. And it's like it's great. It's such a bittersweet but perfect ending, the way it should end. And it's just like, and another reason why an avocado pit is great is because like most short films like this would be focusing on the cis guy who's just like who's experiencing something new for the first time. It's like about his experience, but an avocado pit is fully about the sex worker. It is fully about how like this is a normal night for her. This is just what happens. This is just what her life is like. And it's just like and I love how it puts her first and how it gives her the complete agency in this entire situation. And it's just it's so so good. I love it. And what I'm very proud of is that Christoph originally, when he first watched it, he hated it. He gave it 2 stars. But then after I watched it, I told him I loved it. He watched it again and gave it 3 stars. I forced him to like it more. So yeah, an avocado pit is really good.
Hmm.
Yeah. Uh, and so we could just go through the rest of the short list here because there's not much. Well, there's other interesting films, but don't really want to talk about them too much. Like, so my top 5 of the short list, 3 of them were nominees, which is Night of Fortune, Red, White, and Blue, and Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar. And then Avocado Pit was the other one, and then we also have Yellow, which was nominated for the BAFTA for Best British Short Film, but did not get the crossover nomination. And that one is about a woman who is trying to pick out a hijab. I think that's the right word. I'm not entirely sure. I'm sorry if that is the wrong word. Um, but and it's just about her trying to find like what suits her. She has this lovely rapport with the salesman, and it's just it's a film that like really and it touches it's a lot like Our Uniform where like it touches on the social connotations of it while also touching on like just larger society. I think this one is from Iran, not Afghanistan. Or no, this is from Afghanistan. Our Uniform is from Iran, but they both um they both touch on similar things. And it's a very it does this kind of story in the best way possible, where it's like it it doesn't try to emotionally manipulate you by just like showing you this person in an awful situation. It lets you infer the social connotations of it. It's like because
Hmm.
uh she's very clearly like not the happiest about being forced to wear but it's like she just has to. She has to go and buy one, and it's just like it's just a really good short film, and it's on YouTube if you want to check it out. I think actually Avocado Pit is available for rent for like $1. Red, White, and Blue is on YouTube. Yellow's on YouTube. Henry Sugar's on Netflix. Night of Fortune, I forget if that's easily available. I think it might be, but I'm not totally sure. Anyway, I'll just quickly run through the other short films then. We have Dead Cat, which is about a girl who finds a dead cat and her parents are trying to like explain to her in a way like they try they go to a therapist and are like the therapist is like you have to just be upfront with your child. But then they end up being like no, the cat isn't dead and it's like they take it to a taxidermy and it's just like they fixed it or whatever. Her and it's like but then it turns out it's like the girl we see a birthday party and the little girl's like, "Oh, my parents don't realize the cat's dead, and so I just pretend the cat's alive just for them." And it's a cute
Oh.
little comedic dark comedy thing. Uh we have Invisible Border, which is about this family that's getting deported from the point of view of the cop and how the cop feels just so bad about deporting this family. Is that just terrible? And It's annoying. Like it's actually well made at certain points. I feel like it does this kind of really emotionally heavy short film kind of shtick well, at least until it just starts heavily focusing on how the cop feels about it all. We have Bienvenidos a Los Angeles, which is about a woman who is trying to help this other woman get in contact with her son who's flying in from Mexico, I think, maybe another Latin American country, um, without the mom getting deported. And it's just like it it tries its best. Ronaldo really hates this one. I think it's fine. It's just a stereotypical live action short film. It's just it does what it is. I describe it as a deleted scene from Tell It Like a Woman, the Diane Warren film, the film that got nominated for Diane Warren song like last year. That was terrible. But uh this is better than most of the films in that collection, in my opinion. Ronaldo doesn't agree. Christoph doesn't agree even.
Hmm.
Uh Good Boy is a Ben Whishaw short film about this guy who he's like a bank robber or but then it's just like he sees visions of all these people that I'm not sure if he killed or but are people who are who have died, and the film tries to make it seem like his mother is alive even though it's very obvious that she was like a vision this entire time. It's like it wants to make you think that's a twist, but it's really not. Uh, but I don't know. Anyway, it's fine. It's whatever. The One Note Man is about a guy who plays in an orchestra, except just has to play like one note on the cl I forget what he plays. He plays like a bassoon or something. He plays one note, then goes home, and it's just like it's about his regular routine and how he gets kind of bored with it, and he tries to make he tries to make a scene. It's annoying. Well, it's cute at first, but it goes on for 20 minutes, and it's way too long for just the light comedy that it is. Uh, we have The Shepherd, which is John Travolta as a pilot in World War II. There's this British pilot. He's trying to fly across the Atlantic for Christmas, and then uh, he sees his equipment goes out, and John Travolta appears in the plane across from him, and he's like, "I'll help you down, and I'll help you get home." But then, as he lands, he finds out John Travolta's been dead for 20 years. It's so stupid, and it's produced by fucking Alfonso Cuarón, and it's like it's part of his deal with Disney Plus, and it's terrible. But yeah. And then we have the Anne Frank gift shop, which is about, the Anne Frank Museum trying to decide whether they should open a gift shop. It's commentary about like how to appeal to modern teens or whatever, while also respecting the dark history of everything. It's fine. It's not fun. It's not funny enough to be a good satire. It's also not emotional enough to really have the impactful message that it also wants. So it just kind of end up bland. But Christoph really liked it. Strange Way
Hmm.
of Life is the Pedro Almodovar short that not even his
Yes.
fans liked. Like
And you're
Ronaldo,
not.
like I just thought it was just so boring. And it was just so bland. And for a movie by Almodovar, it's so tame too. Like it's just nothing. Like with Almodovar movies, I at least expect like to be visually entertained, to have like some interesting plot beats. It's just some gay sex or something, but it's it's so bland. It's so nothing. And Ronaldo and Christoph don't even like it, and they actually like Almodovar sometimes. So that's how you know it's bad. And that's it. That's the entire short list. And that's all three short film categories. So congrats for making it through, Zita. Thank you for listening
Hmm.
to me and Ronaldo talk at you for an hour. I actually don't know how long we've been recording.
Hour and a half, I'd say.
Jesus Christ, that's way too long. But um, anything else? Any final thoughts or anything you'd like to promote?
Um, hmm. I just recently, I know that Eliza, most of the jobs that you've had involve sort of physical labor of some sort. So, you've worked at Lowe's. You worked, I guess the TCM job wasn't really physical labor
That
heavy.
wasn't a job. I just was lucky enough to
Well,
be invited onto the show for one day.
you still did, that was still a form of labor.
It
Um,
wasn't labor. It was a gift to me. It's not like I was paid for it.
okay. Well, it's still cool. Anyway,
I
um,
also work at a movie theater, and that does involve labor sometimes. Yes.
yeah, that's really cool too. But I do office jobs, which can be sort of boring, and also it's sort of good because you have a lot of free time. Anyway, I was just wondering, obviously this is something that's very common. You just end up going down sort of Wikipedia holes, researching things that you previously had no interest in. And so I've been researching the Cyprus problem a lot recently. I don't know why, just to fill the time. What have you been up to in the workplace in order to keep yourself occupied outside of
I
all of
mean,
the stuff you have to do?
I there's not really much I can do because it's not like we're allowed
Hmm.
on our phones or anything. And I'm not
Okay.
allowed to listen to music, so it's just I just have to do my work. I
Yeah.
just talk to my coworkers. Sometimes if I do have coworkers that day, sometimes I don't. Um,
You're
that's
heading to the special screening of Jared Leto in Morbius.
yeah. But yeah, it's just at my job. It's just you just work and wait. Sometimes it's just like you wait for more people to come, and that's it. But
Hmm.
very nothing answer. I'm sorry, but that's just how it is. But yeah, thank you, Zita, for coming on the show, and thank you, Ronaldo, as well, even though you're not here to hear me say thank you. This has been the short podcast about short films. Until next time, goodbye.